Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Aurum podcast, where we discuss all things that pertains to building winning teams. I'm your host. My name is Tori Kuri, and I'm so glad you could join with us this Saturday. With me is our usual crew, the people who are the brains trust, as it were, for this particular podcast. We have the CEO of Aurum Consultants, CHRP, Zipporah Kuria. Welcome, Zippy.
Thank you, Anthony. Good morning, our viewers. Good afternoon, good evening, and happy Father's Day to those who are viewing us today and your fathers. I know Father's Day is coming tomorrow, but we'll not have a chance to say Happy Father's Day. So thank you for joining us this morning.
Indeed, indeed, Father's Day. Mimi niko kwa hiyo category. Glory be to God. So, in addition, is our HR specialist for this podcast, the specialist for this podcast, CHRP Martha Thuku. Welcome, Martha.
Good morning, viewers, and happy Father's Day, Tony, and all the fathers watching us. Welcome to great discussions that we can have this morning. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, as it's been alluded, we are having a great podcast today. We this month we've been discussing mid-level management. We've been looking at the various aspects of mid-level management in organizations from a HR perspective, especially, in terms of what do they do, how should they do better, what can the senior management do to appreciate these people and make them work even better and produce, for the betterment of the organization. So today we want to look at the mid-level management in terms of leaner and flatter organizations. Now, as you all know, in today's dynamic business landscape, many organizations are adopting leaner and flatter structures to enhance efficiency and agility. But what does this mean for mid-level managers? Now, today we want to explore the evolving role of mid-level managers in leaner and flatter organizations. We also want to discuss some of the strategies that can be used to empower mid-level managers to thrive in this kind of organizations. So, Zippy, let's get right into it without wasting time. The question then comes, if we have a leaner, flat organization, most SMEs by default really are, if you look at it from the perspective of a huge organization, of a corporation, or of a big organization having uh, thousands of employees, SMEs tend to look leaner and meaner. So now, from that context, what is the evolving role of a mid-level manager in a leaner and flatter organization?
Thank you, Anthony, for that question. When we are talking about leaner and flatter organizations, one of the things I've realized as we work with different organizations, and especially mid-sized level organizations, there's a lot of times that we don't take a keen look actually at our numbers. Sometimes the way we do our recruitment, and I think Mother is a champion on this, it needs to be based on the need. I've seen situations where we are working and we are feeling all of a sudden we need someone to come and join this organization in this particular role, but we've actually not sat back to think about do we really need this person. We have not looked at our organogram. Where does this person even fit in? And I think as we start looking at the lean and flat organization and the role of the mid-level manager, we need to start having a keen look at our numbers. Do our numbers make sense when it comes to employees? Someone a while back talked about data, and at that point I kept on wondering, data and HR, what does that even mean? But when you think about it, as HR, we must be very keen on data and looking at the numbers within the organization, not even from a financial perspective, but from an employee perspective. What impact are they making in the organization? And then as we look at the role of the manager in this kind of an organization, you need to start realizing it's no longer the way we used to. It's like a command from top down, and they're just giving instructions and they pass down the instructions. I think their role is becoming more enhanced. If you don't have a very strong mid-level leadership team, the truth is your organization will struggle, because these are actually the people who run the show. They are the people who will, supervise the people on the ground. They're the people who will, draw from the management the strategies that need to be implemented in the business and go down there and implement. So we need to actually pay a keen interest into this category of managers. The other day, I was having a conversation with someone, and I was telling them, you need to start thinking about your mid-level manager. It can't be a one-man show. It can't be just one person you're entrusting to run, the other team members. But you have to look at who is a key person in the mid-level, because these are the people who run the business. These are the people you will look at in terms of succession if you need to exit the business. Sometimes you want to bring someone from outside, but we also need to look from inside and see who do we need to bring in. So when we start looking at their evolving role, you'll realize these are people actually who are making decisions. And if your mid-level managers are not making decisions, then we need to start empowering them to start making decisions. But of course, with guidance, what do you expect? Their role needs to be very clear. What is the expectation of their role? And I think when we start looking at it from that perspective, we will start seeing a situation where we are winning with this team. A while back, we talked about this can be a very thankless kind of role, where, these are the people who come very early in the morning. They probably are the last ones to leave work. They are the ones who are doing all the reports. They are the ones who are really the massive of work is actually on their desk. But that said, these are people, who are empowered. And if they are not empowered in your organization, then you need to empower them for them to be able to see the organization from a perspective of they belong, and their role is very critical to that organization. So I think there's a lot that I can say about this, but as opening remarks, I will allow Martha to give her input into this.
Yes, Martha, your perspective.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Zippy. Indeed, what you have said is really true. What I wanted to add is that when you look, especially since COVID, you'll find that one of the requirements for every organization and for staff in organizations is to kind of to upskill, hold multiple skills, because then the organizations have become leaner, and these are because of the new trends in HR. There are some positions that must merge. So when you have a mid-level manager, he's able to think through this, which positions can merge in their department, which positions can go to online, because we have various things that have changed, and they are well informed because they are the ones on the ground. So if you have an office assistant, like a reception, and when you look at what they do with the budgets of the organization, do you need that person, or can you go online and have virtual assistants? So this is someone you need to empower to be able to make such decisions. And it's a very critical role, because then it acts as a connection between the management and the staff. So you can say that a mid-level manager is also some form of human resource manager in their department. They're the ones who are monitoring the performance of their staff. They're the ones who are, let's say, recommending rewards, recognition, who should be done what. So this is a trusted person. So as Zippy has said, when you look at your staff, you need to know who you're putting in this mid-level management, because they can even act as a successor for your organization because of what you have seen them do. They are all-rounder. They know about the finances of the organization because you have let them, given them the information, and they are learning about the organization. They are the ones who know about pay structures. They're the ones who know the business and where we are going. So at the end of the day, they can be part of your succession planning. And this is to say that we keep saying for CEO, you should work yourself out of the organization. So you should have this person who will backstop you once you work out yourself up and think about strategic things and other things that the organization can do and come out of the management kind of running the organization. So this is a very critical person. Even as we discuss their role, that would be my opening remarks. Thank you.
All right.
And I think
All
that
right.
probably the other
Yes.
thing I can add on to what you've said is these are people we actually need to encourage to create an ownership kind of mindset, an accountability kind of mindset, because like you're saying, these are people who are having critical roles. They are the ones who are running the show for you. So I think if you are an organization or a CEO and you help your team, your leadership team, or your mid-level managers have that ownership and accountability mindset, I think it will be a game changer. Why? Because they feel they belong. They feel they can make critical decisions that are concerning the business, and they feel they have a major part to play. And I think their role, again, like you said, is a complete game changer. And it can make or break the organization. The organization can grow greatly depending on how you view this team. Or it can actually start to struggle the same way, you're viewing them. So when they feel really their importance, you'll be amazed at actually the kind of ideas and strategies they will bring on board. And the other key thing is, I think, as executives, we also need to listen to this kind of people because, like we've said, they're in a place where their role is evolving. It's not, just telling them to do this and they do. There's a lot of juggling different responsibilities. When you look at recruitment, many years back, that used to be the role of HR. The role of HR is becoming more of a facilitating role as opposed to, they are the ones making the decision. The decision to hire is actually being made by this manager because they're justifying why they need this person. The decision of, how this person is performing is still coming from this mid-level manager. So I think there's a lot that is happening in this space in organizations.
And ZP, as we have seen, as we serve our clients, we have had some clients who they're running their businesses, but they're also running something different. So you find they don't have enough time to concentrate on this business because they're occupied with other things that they're doing. And what happens to such a business if you have not established this position of middle level managers, meaning you are the one in charge, but you are an absent in charge. So you find a lot of anarchy in the organization. So there is no kind of appreciation of the formal reporting line. So everyone becomes a boss. Everyone does things the way they want. So there's no sanity. So this role is so important to bring sanity, especially if you own that organization, but you're also doing other things. You cannot be an absent manager. Let this role be the person who is keeping things stable in your organization so that it runs properly.
Now, already, as you ladies have said, those are your opening remarks. Imagine what is in store for us as the audience who are listening to us. But seriously, if you think about it, and to our viewers and listeners, you realize that as both Zippy and Martha have said, the evolving role of the mid-level manager tells you something about the strategic role of HR. That HR has moved from being a personnel personnel function of we need this, we need that, we need this. Then the HR's work is to basically get somebody acquired and bring it in. But it tells you that from a CEO's perspective, the HR is such a strategic role, the same way you have with this finance. If the chief HR officer and the chief finance officer are as strategic to the CEO as much as possible. And therefore, the mid-level managers then have, they have to be empowered, as Zippy said earlier. They have to be empowered to make decisions. They've got to be empowered with understanding the vision and cascading it down to the people in the front line. And and as both of you have also indicated, a key level of the evolution of the mid-level management role is delegation of strategy. That management has to find a way to delegate strategy to them, and involve them in crafting of the strategy and empowering them to start executing their respective roles of strategy. In addition, and to be able to execute the strategy, then there has to be a level of empowerment to make certain limited decisions. Now that, and then also, if you ladies will agree with me, then the processes that are involved in that organization also have to grow in order to be able, the communication between the top management and mid-level managers means that the processes and systems within the company have to keep growing, even as you delegate, as you empower, as you strengthen. And as Martha has said, as you potentially look for a CEO within the ranks of your mid-level managers who will take over from you. We see this thing all the time, Zippy, if you think about it. Right now, the other day, Kenya Commercial Bank, KCB Group, hired a CEO internally. And if you look at the profile of the gentleman who was promoted to be CEO, from what I hear, I have friends who are senior in KCB. The guy grew up within the system. He has grown up within the system. He joined in as a mid-level manager, and he rose to senior management. Now he has risen to CEO. And I would believe every, I know KCB is a special case. I mean, it's a very big organization. But even as an SME, a mid-level sized company up there, having 10, 15, 20, 50, 100, 200, 500 employees would want to, to borrow from that example. Now, having said that, we have talked about the evolving role. Now, by the way, yes, somebody has just mentioned the CEO's name is Paul Russo, and apparently, Mr. Russo is a HR professional. His core competence is in HR. So, out there, those of you who are HRs in the various organizations, I know there are many HRs who watch our podcast. That should give you some hope that it's not just the people who are in finance, not just people who are in marketing, who get to sit at the corner office, that even HRs can find themselves. If Paul Russo has become a CEO, even HRs in the various places. Martha, I'm sure you, having come from the NGO world, you can imagine as CHRO rising to be a CEO. Yeah,
Amen.
that would be awesome. Yeah, Mr.
That
Russo
would
is.
be awesome.
I don't know. Who knows? We might never get a chance
Mhm.
to interview him here. Anyway, now going to the second discussion point that we wanted to discuss. What are the strategies to empower mid-level managers to thrive? Strategies you can use to empower mid-level managers. Zippy, give us a few ideas there.
I think there's a lot we can do to empower these managers, Anthony. And the fact that you're giving them a responsibility, it means actually you trust them. It means you have a lot of faith in what they're able to achieve. And I think one of the things we can do, one of the strategies we can use, is basically support them and empower them. When you put someone in a place of leadership, it's very important to empower them, because if you don't empower them, what happens? Sometimes they might not even be sure about themselves. Sometimes it could be also being undermined by other team members. So be sure to support them as executive and be sure to empower them to be able to carry out that responsibility. One of the things that we have to learn is to avoid micromanaging. And I don't know whether, mother, you have experienced this, where you've been given a responsibility, but someone is literally micromanaging every small thing that you're doing, and you're not able to exercise free will in making a decision or getting to get the task done. So as you empower and as you support them, also as an executive, minimize the aspect of micromanaging. Of course, these are people who will make mistakes. And sometimes, especially if you're used to handling the responsibility yourself, you're afraid of giving it to someone else because you think they might not do it as well. But the truth is, even for you, you made mistakes before you started perfecting it. So allow them to make those mistakes. Hopefully, some of the mistakes will not be too costly. And that's also where your support comes in, where your supervision comes in. But again, they're walking this journey feeling that they're supported. The other thing, and I always keep on talking about this too, for any team member, and this is not just for team leaders, for all staff, it's important to clarify the vision and their roles. But most of our team leaders and these managers, you need to clarify the vision of where you're going, the strategies for the business. You need to clarify their roles and how their roles are fitting into the bigger picture. Because once they understand expectations and their roles, then the job will get done. When they don't understand and there are gray areas, what happens? Then there'll be a lot of friction, and you'll be there wondering, are they able to perform? Did I make the right decision? But the first thing you need to do is also make sure you clarify what the expectations are. On top of my mind, I'm thinking about also allowing them an opportunity to give honest and open feedback. Sometimes you will find people don't want to give feedback because they fear maybe the backlash of it, or they will fear what will be said of them if they give you that honest feedback. I think it's important for us to allow a situation or open door policy where they can be able to come back and give you honest feedback about what's going on. They can give you honest feedback of what they feel needs to be done. And I think if you consistently do this, I think you'll be growing your leadership team in a good way. So encourage that open and honest feedback so that again they can help you grow the organization. I think the other thing is and even for us, we keep on talking about this to our team members. Self motivation, helping them self-regulate. How do they self-motivate? How do they self-improve themselves? Can they read a book? Can they do something that will help them grow? Can they research in their area of expertise? Don't just rely on the knowledge you got from school or the knowledge of what you've been dealing with every day. Do a bit of research. What is happening out there, in other industries or in other companies that are in the same industry you're working in, or in your profession, what's going on there? Do a bit of research. And I think when you empower them to do some of these things, then you will be empowering them to grow and to become better. Some of these managers, like we are seeing, are growing to be CEOs and taking very senior positions within the organization. When I listen to more successful, leaders, you will hear they will tell you, we are always reading, we are always researching, we are always, hanging around with like-minded people. Encourage even that peer-to-peer environment where they're able to share knowledge, they're able to share experiences, they're able to learn with one another. Sometimes we do the name is disappearing mother, where you get your managers to actually visit another organization, benchmark. Allow your manager to go and benchmark with another organization that is doing probably way better. Maybe it's an organization you're looking up to. Maybe like for us, we're looking at being the next McKinsey of Kenya or Africa. Do we have an opportunity to send our managers to just go and benchmark and see, how things are done there? So I think there's a lot you can do in terms of empowering the middle level managers.
And Zippy, I can add that especially that part of continuous development. So, they should be updated on the industry's trends. And it's okay as a CEO even to kind of involve them in some networks that you are in. So for collaboration, that networking helps them keep themselves updated in the trends that are happening within your industry. So in your mindset, you are building this person to grow him. You're not just giving him a department. So when you're doing this, you're checking the various middle level managers, even if there are 2 or 3, who can step in my shoes. So you also have to empower this person with that in mind, that you would maybe one day retire, or there's a way you would want to do other things, and who can I trust with my organization? And because of that, out of these middle level managers and the way you have given them autonomy, you have communicated your vision and your strategy very well, you will know who have picked very well, and then you see someone who is really pursuing their own personal development. You will know who you can work with, and you make sure you build them. So because out of this will come someone who you will want to run the organization for you. I would also want to talk about compensation. So you don't want, you need to have benchmarked your compensation or your salaries with your comparator organizations, because you don't want to empower and do all these things, and then this person moves to your competitor. So you
Yeah.
make sure also you have competitive salary that will make them stay, and then you are recognizing and rewarding them for every effort that they put. It's okay to celebrate even small miles initially, and then as the person grows, you keep celebrating even big miles. That's what I would want to add to what Zippy said. Thank you.
Indeed, indeed. You find, as we have just said, to our viewers and listeners, you can, as we always say, you can follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. You can always look at our website for more information about us, and you can even send in questions, even post podcast, post the live podcast. If you have questions, if you have issues, we are always monitoring comments that come in, and especially regarding the strategies to empower your mid-level managers to thrive. I like the fact, this is Zippy, that you have talked about empowering, promoting and empowering them. You know, joining to what we discussed in the evolving roles, because empowering them basically, first of all, mean, if you are the CEO, you are the head of the organization. Empowering can mean as simple as they have access to you. When they need to solve an issue, when they need to pick your brains, they are empowered to come and talk to you and tell you, boss, you give me this, I would want to pick your mind on X, Y, Z. Now, if they have access to you as the CEO, and they can be able to, use you as a sounding board, as it were, for some of the strategic implementation, then that is already a level of empowering. And then you've talked about, related to that again is issues of micromanagement. But if you have delegated, obviously you're delegating and monitoring. Obviously, you've got to monitor performance. But monitoring is not the same as micromanagement. It is giving a certain leeway and holding people accountable. Yeah, that's a very powerful way of empowering. Now, CP have also talked about clarifying the vision and their roles within the vision. Okay, their roles within the vision. You've given them the JD. You've said this year, this is what we want to do. We want to diversify. For example, you want to diversify income streams. You want to diversify, offer new products because they will, strengthen the bottom line. Blah blah blah. And then now you clarify the vision of the mid-level managers within that strategy and what they're supposed to do and the ideas they're supposed to bring in. And Zip, you will agree with me, Martha, you'll agree with me. With that clarification and empowerment, you'll be surprised with some of the ideas that some of these mid-level managers will bring to you. Yeah, Zippy, you will agree with me.
Yeah.
If you have that open, they can come and tell you, boss, I've seen this particular opportunity. I've seen that particular opportunity. We are trying it this way. Why don't we try it that way? Okay, because they're empowered to thrive, then they will come up with very good ideas on either on the execution part of it or the adjustments that need to be made in the strategy, or what that will not work. The assumptions that we are going to do this for the year 2023, and you as Martha have asked you this is what you're supposed to do, and then you go out there and tell me, hey Tony, here, this is what the market is saying. The market is telling us we need to do something else. This is the product we assumed they want. They're saying no, that's not what they want. Their need is different. So if you do not empower your managers, then they will be afraid to tell you, boss, your ideas don't quite work. This is how they need to be done. Then, Martha, you've also talked about, Zip, you've also talked about help them to self-improve. Before we began the podcast, Martha, you talked about AI. I overheard that conversation between you and Zippy about, I think it was something to do with HR and AI and how it is coming up. You can imagine right now, I think it is yesterday's newspaper. I saw something. In fact, the newspaper is right here with me. There was on the front page, there was something to do with the harrowing work for content moderators, that no more jobs for human beings. AI has taken over for content generators. Now imagine that is for content generators. Imagine now in other fields, in where we are in HR. Imagine in IT. Imagine in all these things. So if your mid-level managers are in industries that are threatened by this AI, and they are not aware, they just come to work and go home, then they will be very surprised when you, as Martha, as the CEO, you're telling them, now your job has been taken over. Your job, we no longer need you. Your contract is, and now we have what? We have a program that can do what you used to do. Martha, you talked about office receptionist or something. That now with a virtual assistant, you do not need. Okay, human beings still need a face to talk to, but if your people are not self-improving, they will be soon out of a job. So, what will be your closing remarks, Zippy, as we come to the close of our podcast for today?
My final words is let's look or have a keen look at our mid-level management. Let's give them the support that they need. These are people who will make or break your business. These are people who are playing such a critical role in your organization. And one of the things that probably we need to do a little bit more for these people is train them, coach them, give them the opportunities to learn and become a better them. I always say a leader is as good as the people they lead, and if you want to know how best you're doing, then look at the people you're leading, their performance. It will actually reflect back on you. So give it much thought, give it much effort, train, coach them. And I believe if you do that, then you'll be supporting these people who are playing a critical role in your organization.
All right. Thank you, Zippy. Martha, what's your closing remark?
Tony, I would say that so we have seen this a critical role. So encouraging them to generate new ideas and to be innovative, and giving them that space to even make mistakes. So when you make a mistake, you learn one way of not doing things. So so you let them make mistakes because they will learn from their failures. And also like Tony, you are talking about performance management. It's just about giving them feedback on what they are doing so that they understand their progress and their growth. And you give them practical steps on how to even do it better. So it's a collaborative kind of engagement and relationship, and because you have something in the end that you are looking at. Thank you. That's what I'll talk about.
Okay. Wow. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Zippy. To you, our viewers, indeed, as you've seen, this was just kionjo to it is supposed to whet your appetite, as it were, because discussing mid-level management in leaner and flat organizations It would take probably a whole research topic by McKinsey at McKinsey level to describe clearly, deeply what mid-level managers can do, their roles. I was reading, ladies, I was reading what inspired me to think about having this podcast, this topic this month is I came across a McKinsey paper that discussed the frustrations of mid-level management, that they find themselves doing administrative tasks. In advanced countries like in the West, they find themselves doing administrative tasks rather than strategic decision making. And these are not just problems found in the West. Even here in Kenya, I'm sure if you ask me, mid-level managers, even in big organizations, those are some of the things they face. So, to you, our viewers and our listeners, we want to thank you for taking time to being with us. Uh, if you have loved what we have talked about and you're wondering, how do I strengthen my mid-level managers? How do I even put processes and systems to help me empower? How do I remove, like, I think it's Martha Ozipi who said this a few weeks ago, remove strategy from my head and put it on paper and then speak it to everyone else. How do I do that? Here at Aurum Consultants, you can reach out to us to help you put in structures and processes from a HR perspective, put in the structures and processes necessary to have, first of all, a mid-level management team, and then things like job description, recruitment, and empowering, training them, scaling the vision down, if you need, as it were, and then we can help you train on that. We can help you put those structures in place. So reach out to us by the contacts at the bottom of your screen. And also, we'd like to inform your viewers that uh, coming from July, we'll be moving to monthly webinars, which will be held once a month. We'll move on from weekly podcasts to monthly webinars. And this will be a more powerful, more informative way to connect and to understand. As you've noticed, the podcasts, 30, 35 minutes, it's over. And some of you are wondering, okay, Tony, whatever you talked about, Zippy, Martha, it was nice, but it was too short. Now with webinars, we will be having a place where it will be much more interactive. It will be a session probably in a different Zippy, if I'm not wrong. It will be more on a platform where I think it's Zoom. I think it will be on Zoom or something. I don't know. We will agree to that, where now people can throw in comments, they can ask questions, they can hold up their hands and say, hey guys, what did you say about this? How do I handle that? So we'll be moving more into podcast on a monthly basis. But so be prepared for that so that it can be more interactive and more informative for you. And for now, we want to appreciate you all. Martha, thank you for your wisdom. Zippy, thank you for bringing in tremendous wisdom. Those are the backstage. Our producer, Chris, thank you for your time. And to you, our viewer and listener, wherever you are, whether it's morning, whether it's evening, whether it's midday, thank you for taking time to tune in with us. Let's join in next week. We will be having, I think, Zippy, if I'm not wrong, we'll be having the final podcast, and then we'll have a webinar regarding mid-level management on 1st of July. So kindly look forward to that. But having said that, I'm your host. My name is Tony Kuria, and I'm so glad that you could join with us. Take care, have a nice weekend, and God bless you.